Hello folks, we're a week removed from Mother's Day and I hope everybody had a nice Mother's Day in which you offered something for your mother, whether it be a prayer or flowers or something tangible and useful. And while all of us were giving our mothers something, like gift for celebrate the occasion, a friend of mine actually gave me a donation last week, or I shouldn't call it a donation, more like he actually owed me a favor, and this was his way of repaying that favor. But basically, to make a long story short, he had this thing laying around that he bought from the flea market some time ago and wasn't going to have much use for it. So he gave it to me and, well, there it is. This is the Miracle X video game system. And what this is well, it's a video game system that was released in Korea. You know, you have the nice little Korean type, and you have the power button, you got your reset button, your LED system, and your LED light, excuse me. You got your standard information, as you can tell, made in Korea. Has a phone number that no doubt is no longer valid, and you have your usual AV outputs, your composite outputs, your power output, and your controller ports, which it's I don't know if it's proprietary or if it's one of those rare pin connections. I don't know, but it's something that I haven't seen before. Yeah, this is a Korean video game system that, according to Hardcore Gaming 101, which is a wonderful website with a lot of retrospectives and overviews on various games and series. They have a rather nice little section on Korean gaming especially, which is where I got their source. But according to that site, this came out in 2004 and was from a company called Techline. Beyond that, I know nothing. I've been trying to look for information on this system, but unfortunately, information is rather scarce, and even on YouTube, I haven't found a whole lot of videos, if any, that featured this console. So I don't want to call it the first because someone might have actually touched on this thing, but you know, in any event. Anyways, what kind of thing does this play? Well, aside from the cartridge slot, which plays Famicom games, by the way, so I have a dedicated Famicom game player. But aside from that, if you don't have any cartridges on hand, there's also the system allegedly boasts 500 games, but in reality, the number's far less than that. I'd go around. Hardcore Gaming 101 says about 60 games. I'd venture to say a lot less than that, probably 40-50 games tops, and then the rest is repeating. There might be some couple differences here and there, but I doubt it. But in any case, just to demonstrate the Famicom cartridge insertion ability, you might, if you've seen my Curious Gaming Find vlog, you're probably familiar with this. This is Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest for the NES, which has been converted onto a Famicom cartridge. And that fits like that. Plays the cartridges rather well, by the way, so I'm not going to test it here on camera, but I'm going to show you some footage of some of the games included here. But you know, if you want, show you some gameplay footage from the various games included, and I'm probably going to do like an overview of, like, I'll go through each of the first 40-50 games, since those are the only unique games on the console. But aside from that, you know, it's nice little stuff. Anyway, so I'll show you what it came with, what I got with it. This is the AC adapter. Like it says here, AC adapter, and it's a AC adapter, and it's somewhat slightly bent here. I don't know if you noticed it. It's like one's aiming downwards, the other one's straight ahead, but you know, it hasn't blown up on me. I've played it for a while now, so, and it hasn't blown up on me, so that's kind of a nice thing. And also, it came with two controllers. I'll show you the plug first. That's the plug that goes into the controller support side. So, and this is the actual controller. Now, this looks like a PlayStation controller before they added in the DualShock. This is a pre-DualShock PlayStation 1 controller. And it's pretty much the same, pretty much the same layout. You have your D-pad, your PlayStation style D-pad, you have a select button, start button. And this is your A button, your B button, your A button, and the green buttons denotes turbo status. So if you want turbo fire, you just press this, your B button, your A button, turbo status. This is regular gameplay, which is alright. And there's obviously no trigger buttons, and there's no DualShock analog sticks because there's no real need for them. Just for comparison's sake, and while I don't have a original PlayStation controller, I do have a DualShock, and I like that. Obviously, there's triggers on this one. There's analog sticks on this one. The buttons are more spaced out, and also this one's actually a little heavier, whereas this one's actually kind of light. I don't want to say it's flimsy though. It doesn't. There's, I don't know. It might be some weight to it, but it is kind of light. But on the other hand, it works rather nice. So I can't really complain in that department. It works rather nice. So no real complaints there. So okay, so I've hooked up the wiring. The TV is on. I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to turn on the console in 3, 2, and that's your main title sequence. Let's zoom this in a bit. But yeah, you just press. It's got quite a few games here. You can probably already tell that it's starting to repeat. But yeah, it's divided into, it's like, it says 500 games, there's 10 games a page, and you're already starting to repeat the games. So you got 10, 20, 30, 39 unique games. We'll go with that, based on the fact that it's 2, 3, I'm sure there might be some minor tweaks and differences, but for the most part it's 39 unique games, so we got that done. So yeah, here's the main menu, which is all Korean, and as many of you may or may not know, I can't read Korean, so we're going to discover these games the old-fashioned way. It's mystery video game, it's the McMystery meal, so to speak. You'll never know what's behind door number whatever until you open the door. So, just skimming through the entirety, the numbers helpfully determined that, they're repeats. So, let's start with the first game, 1942! An arcade classic from Capcom, which has been converted to the NES, and as you can probably tell, right off the bat, there are some characters missing from the screen. Up, I'm assuming it's 1 up. Random numbers appearing, I guess is that I score. Anybody from Korea would like to clarify as to whether there are zeros in their alphabet or character set? Because I don't think the lack of zeros is particularly normal, even for a Korean gaming system. I'm not trying to be racist or anything. I'm just curious, because, well, solving points from the pickup. So, oh, but it's 1942, and it's a basic run-of-the-mill World War II shooter. It's not like the sequels, which eventually brought into crazy weapons like the super laser beams and the screen-filling spread shots, and also went a little crazy with the various plane designs, but that's not for the here and now. So anyways, I'm just playing through this, and so far the controls are working rather nice. The A button, works, the B button works. Not gonna really complain much. Playing through this. and I'm actually doing pretty good. I usually don't do this well in 1942, actually. So this is actually one of my better games of 1942, for that matter, which is rather nice, and can't really complain all that much. So yeah, we're almost at the carrier, and we're done. 83%. So yeah, nice little victory tune, and yeah, I'll stop it here so we could go through the games fast. And yeah, next game is Arkanoid. I already have this on the NES. What I don't have is the mouse controller that will enable me to play a lot better than with the digital D-pad, and basically, yeah, that's pretty much the gameplay of every Arkanoid that I've played on the NES. 2 blocks and then I eventually fail miserably. Nonetheless, I'll try and persevere, try to get some more gameplay for more than 5 seconds at least. But, you know, Arkanoid, if you've never played it, it's sort of like Breakout, where you move a paddle around and you have to clear all the blocks in the sky. Unlike Breakout, you have power-ups, and you've seen a couple. You have enemies who don't really hurt you or anything, but they do alter the trajectory of your balls, and they don't factor into this gameplay, so we'll move on to something else. Ninja Kun Maru Nubunkin. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but this is originally an arcade title, and one of the games we did not get in the United States, unless you were fortunate enough to get one of those multi-carts. I like the ninjas. When you stomp on them, their eyes bulge out. That's like wonderful stuff. Look, yeah, that's kind of cute, actually. There was another game similar to this, Ninja Jarada Maruken, which is available on the Virtual Console. And if you collect balls, you get a bonus stage, but the whole idea is that you have to kill all the ninjas on screen. And I died. That's funny. I'll play through that abyss. I'll play through this a bit. Sorry, I'm just mumbling right now. But yeah, there's not much more to it than that. I'll show you a couple more levels. Just for the sake of showing you a couple more levels, and I think I've cleared everybody. Nice garbage on top. That's always nice. And nice seizure-inducing temple in the background, which is always nice. Well, and now I could read my bonus. Scene 2, I like that effect. Nice little effect. And same mountain, different colors. Okay, that works, I suppose. Pretty much the same thing. Do they have new enemies? Or maybe it's more farther up, let's see. And, hold on. A little orb. I'm guessing the orb gives you like some kind of power up, but yeah, we got another enemy and stunned, and I'm dead. Brilliant. Alright, I only got those 2 enemies left to kill, and I'm generally trying not to like, play poorly, but the faster I get through a game, the better it is, especially in regards to the video. But for the most part, no, for the most part, the game's alright. No, I kind of prefer the original game, but whatever. Another seizure-inducing temple, and that's gone. Another seizure-inducing sky, and ooh, we changed the graphics. Now we're in front of a temple. Nice. More ninjas. A lot more ninjas. And can I fall here? No. And ninja's gonna bang me. Yeah, I'm dead. Pooey. Alright, next game. Going down. Number 4 is Dig Dug 2, which is a sequel to Dig Dug. And I didn't even know there was a Dig Dug 2. Go figure. This is pretty much the same thing as Dig Dug, except now you have a drill. And that's always exciting.
you get to destroy entire bits of an island. Nice. That was rather fun. Round 2. Let's go through this. Rather nice. Almost fell over. See if we can get that mushroom. Hose, hose, hose. Done. Round 3. Yeah, I'm actually kind of liking this, actually. Destroy the island. Nice. Good old demolition. Oh, almost fell. Missed one. I think you're running along a grid, that's why I'm not able to go full motion, but anyways. Who cares, I'm done. Oh, that was fun. That was exciting. Next. Go down to Flappy. Okay, alright, keyboard is the menu. You just determine your options. I've got no idea how to play this one, in all honesty. I'm guessing you're supposed to get the boulder down to the brick in some fashion. But I've got nothing. How do I do this? How do I do this? I guess I push the boulder up and I get crushed by the blue boulder and I die. Brilliant. Yeah. How do I plus? What do I do? I push this. And that maybe. I guess. What do I do? I don't know what I'm doing. Boulders disappear if I crush them or something. Because they're easy to crush for some reason. I tip it, edge it out over to the side maybe. Yeah. How about that? Still crushed them. One more time. That's pretty. God, I'm not sure. Seriously, I'm not sure how you play this. I'm stupid. How do I play this game? I'm like, give me something else. Crap. Next. This looks familiar. This is a common thing that they do when they port Super Mario. They take the first game, they take some of the graphics from the second game on the Famicom Disk System, put it together, take out the copyright and the title logo, and there you go, it's Super Mario. For the most part, it sounds fine on the Miracle X. It's like it's generally the definite barometer that I use for any NES clone system. Just play Super Mario Brothers 1, and right away you get the difference in sound. And for the most part, it sounds alright. It sounds pretty accurate. It's kind of a bit of a roughness to the sound, but for the most part, it sounds accurate. It doesn't have that loud screeching sound that's evident on some clones that I've heard. It's more on par, slightly above Retro Duo, still below an FC Twin in terms of sound quality. So that's not so bad. Next. And number 7. This sounds like Tengen Tetris. And it is Tengen Tetris. And, yeah. If you never played Tetris before, then I don't know what to tell you. I think at this point everybody's played Tetris. Yeah. Anyways, Not gonna play too much of this because I think everybody's played Tetris. Everybody knows how to play Tetris, so I'm not really gonna touch on this. And see if I get like a. Probably not gonna get a Tetris, but see if I can do like. Oh, one so else that's gonna work for now. And yeah, get that piece there, and nice. I could. Well, I guess I could put that there, and could have saved that for. Oh, I got a square there. Actually, that's not bad. Stroke of the luck. Let's put that fucker there and put that there. And don't want to take too long because you know, actually it's actually not bad. It's not quite bad. It's well, tension textures. I think for those of you who probably don't know or aren't aware of, it's the unlicensed version on the NES that was released by Tengen, and was as far as I know was in the market for about a month before Nintendo eventually won their little lawsuit, and this version was shit-canned in favor of Nintendo's version, which may or may not be better than this one. At the end of the day, it just comes down to personal taste, and personally I prefer. Well, I prefer the one on the Game Boy. But in any case, I'm out of time. Clear the level. Next! Thank you. Where are we now? Game 8. Duck. Hard for me to play Duck Hunt if I don't have the light gun. I don't know if this thing came with a light gun. I didn't get a light gun with this. Let's try this Hogan's Alley again. I can't play Hogan's Alley if I don't have a light gun. No, it does not compute. This next game reset. No, I'm gonna reset this, and next one's gonna be Wild Gunman, right? But of course. Seriously, I don't know if this thing came with a gun originally. I know it doesn't have a gun now, but anyways, go on to the next page. Duck. Okay, so from what I gather, you have to go from top to bottom, and actually, I think I kind of remember this game, actually. I don't remember where, but I do remember this game. You basically have to bring your egg, you just have to guide your egg down the various level, making sure it doesn't take too hard of a fall or also crack. Or you make sure you don't squash it anyway, usually in a dead end. And I fell. I think I could, if I fall from the bottom, I'll re-emerge on the top, right? Yeah. Okay. So that's, I guess I got a jumping ability, that's nice. Go from the other side, drop the egg from there. And I guess I'm going to the other side. This is going to be interesting. Wait for him to come down, I don't want to risk it. Jump. There's enemies spawning. And, yeah. Going from the other side. Drop the egg there. Jump up so I don't crush it. That's nice. It's very nice. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Now what? An interesting conundrum. I'm sure the solution's obvious, I'm just not seeing it, but and crack. Stupid. Just stupid, okay. Next game. And nice Antarctic adventure. The Adventures of a Penguin Skating on Various Roads in Antarctica. This is a common one on a lot of the multi-carts. Now, if you've ever had those NES cartridges with like 120 games or 500 games in one, is essentially what this is, and damn, that was a nasty jump. And Penguin Antarctic Adventure was always a favorite. A lot of these games are like common ones. And you know, you get a little propeller. You know, if you press A twice, you're in the air for a bit. You lose the propeller because it broke, because it couldn't support Penguin's weight. You know, just scrimmage through this a bit, and hopefully, if I'm lucky, I'll win the round. Bounce into the seal. That's always a brilliant move. Nice, but I think I can manage this. Not a big deal. And this is actually quite soothing, actually, at times. You know, if you're ever in a bad mood, this actually, you know, it's got a nice little tune. You got the annoying beeper telling you to move your ass before you run out of time, but I'll make it, no problem. Go into a little hut, and yeah. So, next game, please. And we have Balloon Fight. Now, this is an NES classic if there ever was one. This is basically the Nintendo equivalent of Joust, except instead of popping riders off their birds, you're popping balloons and then you're picking off the birdies, or whatever they're called. I'm assuming they're birds, but they can't fly, so it'd be presumptuous to call them birds, I guess. But no, in all seriousness, this is actually not a bad game. You know, if you ever want a Joust-like game on Nintendo, this is probably the best one to go. I mean, yeah, there is a version of Joust on the NES, but it's not all that great, in all honesty. But you know, just go for this instead. It's a much better game, and you know, this is coming from someone who likes Joust. But the Joust on the NES is pretty, I don't know, not all that great. But you go with Balloon Fight, it's a much better game in that regard. Nice little substitute, if nothing else. Yeah, watch out for the Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt will, and it doesn't really matter, I'm dead anyways. Next game, we got Battle City. This is another common game that's on the multi-carts, and construction means you could build your own levels if you want, which is rather a nice little feature. So the main idea behind Battle City, if you've never played it before, is basically you just gotta destroy all the tanks that emerge and defend your Eagle base built down below before. You have a number of lives, but if your Eagle base, your headquarters, I guess, you know, the bird thing is destroyed, then the game ends, regardless of how many lives you have left. So I'm just gonna play through this, and every once in a while you have a flashing red tank like there, over there, and if you kill it, a power-up will appear. Pretty straightforward stuff, it's not so bad. You know, it's a nice little, it's sort of like Combat, but, you know, a one-player equivalent of Combat. If you remember that game from the Atari 2600. But the only difference being that Combat is a two-player game, and Battle City's a one- or two-player game with computer opponents and destructible environments. And none of the cool stuff like bouncing projectiles. I don't think they're bouncing projectiles, but anyways. Sampling Stage 2, and this is where you'll encounter some of the more heavily armored tanks. And it's pretty straightforward gameplay. You know, I died a couple times. It's like, I'm not really trying all that hard. But yeah, you could destroy the brick walls. I'm exposing the bird because I just want to try to get this done over and done with. Try and get a nice little score. But yeah, you got different varieties of tanks. You got fast tanks, you got slow tanks, you got heavily armored tanks, you got a little power up there that will freeze everybody in place. which is rather nice, but enemies will keep spawning in, so there's that. And just gonna go through that. And yeah, not really much, not much to it. Anyways, I'm getting bored of this, so I'm going to, you know, these people are truly ineffective at establishing a home base, so I'm gonna commit suicide. Yeah. Anyways, game over. Irregardless of how many lives you have left, if your headquarters are killed or destroyed, it's game over. Nice. Next game we have Binary Land. Yes, nice. This is where you're guiding two penguins and they're in love. You want to guide them to the caged heart because for some reason they're trying to save a heart or something and it's caged. The unique little thing though is that you're controlling both penguins, but the horizontal controls are inverted for each one. So if you press left, one penguin goes left, the other goes right, and you just gotta factor that in when you're guiding the penguins. It's actually a nice little concept. I don't think this was ever released on North American soils, which is a shame because it's actually not a bad little game actually. Not one that I usually play all that often, but yeah, it's a nice little game. And yeah, that's pretty much the concept. You know, you just navigate around the maze, and here you got a little bonus game. And yeah, get all the hearts, free your companion, and you get it all before the time runs out. You get a nice little bonus. And that's it. Excuse my burps. Next. Yeah. What's next? Ooh, Bomberman. The first one. The one that I don't particularly care for. You know, I played Bomberman 2 for NES for the first time this past month, and I kind of like that game a lot more than I do this. But I guess you already know all about Bomberman, so there's not really much I could tell you. Yeah, for some reason I could never get into this series. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I haven't played enough of the games. Like, this is the only one that, for the longest time, this was the only Bomberman that I've ever played. That, and I dabbled in a bit of Act Zero. The 360 version, and that was pretty bad. This one ain't all that great either, but anyways, I found my power up. I don't know, I personally prefer, you know, the cutesy ones, and the one with the multiplayer. This one has no multiplayer. I don't want to say it sucks, but it's not all that interesting, but I'm gonna keep playing because, you know, my interest holds out at least until the end of the level, let's say. But I seem to be doing good. Haven't blown myself up yet, which is usually a frequent occurrence with these games. Come on. Maybe if I trap him. Even if I'm extremely lucky, let's try this again. And, there we go. I just gotta find that door. Up on there, and, oh, wait. I get that out of the way. Go to the door, and we cleared the stage. Stage 2, no! No! I fucking don't know what I'm thinking, not again. Burger time! I haven't played this in a long time. And, nice little jingle. Anyways, you're supposed to make burgers, avoid all the foods, and you got pepper spray to spray off your foes. And ooh, almost touched me. And you only got a certain amount of pepper spray at your disposal, so just remember not to abuse it all that often. And I seem to be doing pretty good for someone who hasn't played this in ages. Let's see if we could keep up. Come on. Let's see if we could actually make these burgers. Not one of my favorite games, but it's still, you know, it's a classic. It plays well. And, you know, let's see if we could... No, I'm done. No, wait. And I'm done. Alright, next game. Alright, what's the next game that we have here on the list? Ooh, Circus Charlie. Another favorite to put on those multi-cart things. So I guess it's all the really common ones. I guess that means somewhere down the road I'm going to be running across Star Force or something. Or, Anyway, Circus Charlie, it's not too bad. It's, you know, it's a side-scrolling platforming thing. You gotta avoid obstacles. It's not all, you know, it's different events, but you know, here you're riding a lion. The next stage, you're jumping over, you're on a tightrope, jumping over monkeys, and then you're on a horse in the next stage, and then you're jumping from ball to ball, and not much more to it than that. You know, it's a pretty basic game. But can be challenging at times. You know, well, the farther you go, the challenging it gets, obviously. But this is actually a fun little game. Charlie is being cheered on by the thousands, hundreds, and the circus. It's a pretty big, big top, actually. Now, as I recall, if I recall correctly, there's no NES version on North American soils. However, if you're willing to play this game, you know, if you know, outside of multicart, the arcade version of Circuit Charlie is available if you're willing to track down a copy of on the Nintendo DS, Konami's Classic Series Arcade Hits, which, aside from this game, also includes other games like Gradius and Contra, Russian Attack, to name a couple, and also Puyan, which is another classic that's commonly placed on multi-cart series, so worth checking out if you want to play it the legal way. And that's the second stage. I've earned myself an extra life, and we're going to move on to the next game. So what's the next game on the list? Dig Dug, the first one. Interestingly enough, we did not get Dig Dug 1 on the NES. We got it on the Atari 7800, the Atari 2600, the 5200, but not the NES. But we got Dig Dug 2 on NES for some reason. I'm talking about the North American. Japanese obviously did get it, otherwise we wouldn't be seeing this on screen. And yeah. So, enough of that. Next game. We all seen Dig Dug, we don't need to see more Dig Dug. Again, Donkey Kong. I'll play the first level just to say I played the whole game, but for the most part it's Donkey Kong on the NES, and I think this is one of those games, aside from Mario, that everybody's played at this point. You know, whether it's on the NES or on the 2600 or even on the 7800, which is another decent port. But yeah, we've all played this. You know, I'm not going to show you the whole game because that'd take up too much time, especially when I've got a whole bunch of other games to show on this as part of this compilation, built-in compilation on this Miracle X system. But anyways, next game we have is Galaga, and again, don't need to show you much on Galaga, but I'll play a bit there. And yeah. Anyways, it's Galaga, and it's another arcade classic. First played this on the Atari 7800, and I remember back in the day I was able to go through 100 levels on this thing, which is an incredible feat, especially nowadays when I could barely go through the first 20 or 30. If that. So, yeah, in any case, it's Galga. If you let the boss ships, the green things, capture your ship, and then you destroy it, you could get a double ship. You rescue the other ship, you get double fire. I'm not going to do that here because I just want to play through it fast. And just get this done, get this done, and boom. That's fun. Alright, next game. Golf. I'm not a big fan of golf, either the real sport or the NES game. But I'm going to attempt to play this nonetheless. Please bear with me as I fumble through this golf game for Nintendo. And, actually making some progress. That's nice. That's good to know. Nice. Okay, we're almost there. Almost there. We're almost on the green. Miss. Nice. Out of bounds. How is that out of bounds? The fuck? Sorry. I just used a putter. Not gonna get me far, but it's not like I'm gonna get anywhere with this game anyway. Yeah. Come on. Come on. Yeah. Almost there. We're right by the hole. Nice. We're done. Screw you, I'm not playing another hole. Next game. And what we got now? Jewelry. I'm guessing this is the NES equivalent of columns? Is it possible? Yep, it's columns. And you got Russian setting. Nice. Wait, is that the Godfather theme? It is, isn't it? Jesus. Well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but still. That's the best they could come up with. Anyways. You know, musical choice aside, it's columns. And, you know, I played columns, you're supposed to line up a bunch of jewels. Or stones, like stones. 3 in a row. Whether it be down, across, diagonally, doesn't really matter. As long as there's 3 of them, 3 or more. And they go away. Which is always nice. And, yeah. I'm not a big fan of columns, actually. I don't know. I tried playing columns. Like I got columns on the Genesis, but for some reason I could never really get into columns. Which is funny because actually, a lot of these puzzle games I actually can get into quite a bit. Whether it be the Tetris or Dr. Mario or Puyo Puyo, the one with the beans, what was another one that I usually... Yoshi's Cookie was another one. Then I played Puzzle League, I think. Yeah, Puzzle League. One time called Tetris Attack for some reason. And, you know, for a game that I'm not really fond of, I'm playing quite a bit of it, I find. So... yeah, I am aware of that, folks. Get that for the orange one, right? Yeah. Doesn't accomplish much, but I got more crap out of the way. Yeah, this is strangely addicting. And I don't like columns. Maybe it's because there's the Godfather theme playing in the background. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Alright, okay. Well, you know what? I'm getting bored of this. I'm not getting anywhere. Okay, next game. What else we got here? Ice Climber. And by the way, you can't choose your level in this version, which sucks. And since this is based in Korea, obviously you get the best part of Ice Climber, which will show up in a few seconds. Yes. Seals. You get to wax seals and not the abominable snowman from that we got in the North American versions. God, I hate this game. Did you know that this was re-released as part of the classic NES series for Game Boy Advance? Did you know that? Would someone try to explain to me why that's the case, aside from the fact that the main characters were featured in Smash Brothers? Cause I hate the jumping in this game. I really do. Especially when you try to jump on an edge, you'll fall right through the very edge. If you're not well into the okay, well, that was all lucky. If you're not covering the very enough distance inside a platform, you're gonna fall right through the block. You've already seen it like a couple times already. And I mean, Jesus Christ! Damn it! Oh fuck it, die. No bonus. That's the other best part about this game, is watching your character cry his face off in shame. Next! Alright, seriously, next game. Year Kung Fu. I like this game. I'm not particularly any good at it, but I like this game. It's one of the earliest fighting games in history, I guess. You know, one of the earliest one-on-one fighters. Pretty rudimentary stuff, but it plays a hell of a lot better than the original Street Fighter, that much I'll tell you for sure. If you've played the original Street Fighter, you probably would agree with me. The movement. The one thing that I'll admit, though, the hit detection's kind of like right now, it looks alright, but... Oh, I won! One thing I noted is that sometimes the hit detection's kind of spotty. I don't know if it applies to the arcade version as well. Probably not. And you got Tao who shoots fireballs. Anyways, I'm just gonna finish this guy real fast, hopefully real fast. And, not so bad. Yeah, you see, it's like I throw 3 punches and only one of them went through. I'll go in with jump kicks and, I win! Nice. Alright, next game. Let's try that again. Load Runner. I loathe Load Runner. I cannot get into Load Runner. Absolutely cannot get into Load Runner. Some people would consider this a classic, but I'm sorry, I can't get into this. Dear. Oh God. Not one of my favorite games. Oh, that I will admit that much. And just the fact that you're being chased by bombermen is just... Christ. Now we go upstairs to get the last bit of gold. And I'm missing one, aren't I? Christ. I'm missing one on the floor. Genius. And do 500 holes because that seems the only way I can defend myself. And what's presumably it's championship load runner. Yeah. Yeah, because there's two different versions of load runners. There's the standard version, and then there's the one that goes up, down, left, right. There's the huge-ass version of load runner, which I could never get into. Like, if regular load runner was bad enough, this is even worse. And, I'm gonna trap myself in a hole, and, yeah. Okay, screw this. Next! Lunar Ball, otherwise known as Lunar Pool, as we know it on the NES. And, again, you can't switch your levels. Because in the NES version, you could switch your levels, and I think even on a couple of the multi-carts that I have this game, you could also switch your levels. But here, it's not the case. I don't know why. They probably built it that way. Which is too bad, because I would have liked to have shown you a couple of the more creative pool tables that they have on here. Because it's sort of like regular pool. You're sort of like playing regular pool, except instead of having a standard pool table of sorts or a standard pool table layout, you have these contorted little shapes there. And one of these games I'll show you. I'm not particularly all that great at the game, as you can probably tell, but still, it's not a bad game. So I'm just gonna fumble through this really fast, and not really fast, because do I get and no. Might as well get this one in there. Spine trajectory, power, that all determines. Ooh. Will it go? Will it go? Will it go? No, it won't. Not so. It's not one of my better days. I'll tell you that much. Not to say I used to be a lot better at this, but I used to be a lot more, at least a lot more competent. Ay. Mother ducker. So you could at least get. Oh, that sucked. That also sucked right in the hole, right? Yeah. Almost. Nah. I tried. Next. Mappy. This one's not so bad. Basically, you have to collect all the furniture, avoid all the cats, go through doors, excuse my burping again, and not too bad. Not particularly a favorite, but you know, it's all right. It's a decent little game, and we cleared the stage. Nice. Next, we have that, and almost ran into the cats. Nice little bonus, 800 points. That's always nice. And keep going like that. Yeah. There's a couple cats with me, so that's not so bad. Can carry a tune. Yep. Next. I'm not bother with the bonus game. Milk and nuts. Yeah, collect all the fruit. Then you go to the house and meet your girlfriend. And avoid your rival, I guess, of sorts. Very cutesy, very beautiful. And outsmart your opponent by going to the other side of the screen and emerging on the other side of the screen. And that's a happy couple right there. You get to repeat the whole thing all over again. Yay! I've completely lost my marbles, folks. But, yep. Okay, next game. And, where are you at now? We're almost done. We're almost in the home stretch. Hyper Olympic. Otherwise known as track and field. And I'm going to be lazy and press the turbo button to go through it because I'm really tired and crap. Anyways, I managed a world record. Nice. Oh, excuse me. So now we got the long jump. Basically, Hyper Olympic is half of track and field. And presumably, I think we might have Hyper Sport. Maybe. Maybe not. No world record broken. Which is a tad shameful, but not a huge loss. So now is the hurdles. Hurdles, and after that I think is the javelins. The only thing they don't, again, you don't get to choose your starting event, which is a shame. But another world record. And all this time I've been button mashing when I could have just done turbo and be lazy about it. But oftentimes I want to play fairly. Excuse me. In any case, if you really wanted to know more about track and field, Hyper Olympic, whatever the case may be, whatever you want to call it, it's actually the first video review that I posted on YouTube. So if you want to check that out, probably eventually one of these days I want to do a remake of that. Especially now that I got better ripping software to rip from the DVD. Which is a rather nice thing, actually, because, in any case, it's track and field, Hyper Olympic, whatever you want to call it. And we have the Chariots of Fire playing with the various caricatures running across the arena, the stadium. And next. Again, I'm losing track of where I'm supposed to go. I don't know what this is. I don't know I don't know what it is. Chinese checkers, I think, or Japanese checkers, or chess. Someone please tell me what I'm doing. I pushed the B button. I guess that's a forfeit button. Christ. Why am I playing this? I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, God. Forget it. Next. Pac-Man. Yeah, it's Pac-Man. Come on. So now we're gonna go. Just clear the maze, but it's Pac-Man on same thing we got on the North America, the NES. And again, play through the maze fast. But if you really want to know more, I also did a review on this. Not the greatest thing ever, but it's Pac-Man. It works. Now, some people tend to complain that this one actually moved a lot slower than, but maybe it's just me, but I've never actually noticed. Or maybe it's because I don't actually pay attention to the actual speed. To me, it's all the same thing anyways. And snag the 4th ghost. That's always hard to get. Usually, if you're consistent in getting that 4th ghost, it's easier to get an extra life early on. But, for sake of this video, I'm not actually trying to get a good game in, I'm just trying to get this done, so I could move on to the next game. Like so. Pipeline, aka Mario Brothers. Or as some multi-carts would call it, Mr. Mary. And, yeah, we're gonna play Mario Brothers. Bounce this turtle, bounce that turtle. Knock those 2 turtles. That turtle knocks me out. God, that was lousy. That was lousy, forget it. Knock the turtle out. Kick him off the screen. Next game on the list is, oh, Puyon! This is another one. This is actually another fun one. You play a little white thing, and you pop balloons of the various wolves that want to kidnap your other white things. Would help if I were a bit more knowledgeable, but I'll have to make do with my incoherent rambling. I think by this point, if I try to show some background knowledge on any of the games in question, that'd be a huge distraction or detriment to the overall tonality of the overview, which is essentially me rambling over gameplay footage as I play games badly for the sake that, I'll get through most of the games in the least amount of times. Although, the fact that it's taken me up to an hour to get to this point, that sort of defeats the purpose. So, let's explore a bit of Puyon, shall we? Just gonna play through a couple levels, and the whole idea behind Puyon is to blow the balloons up so that the wolves don't get to climb the top of the ladders. And then the next level, you're preventing wolves from reaching the cliff, so they push off the boulder and kill you. You have a nice little cutscene. This is also based on an arcade game, and it's also available on the Konami's Classic Series arcade hits for the DS, the arcade version at least. So if you want to play that one out. And actually, one of my teachers actually had programmed a Flash version of this game, which is nice. This game's actually not too shabby. It's not, it's good fun to be had by all. So, I don't have much else to say. Actually, it's been a while since I last played this, but yeah, I remember this being good fun. And, it's pretty endless. I really want to get going now. I could just reset the game, but that'd be poor taste, I suppose, right? Yep. Okay, so I missed the one wolf, and he's gonna start pushing the other one. And wait. Yeah, when the if you miss the purple wolves, it'll count. It'll bring the count back to 5. And we'll keep going until you find a way to kill him. I don't remember. How do we do it? Oh. I guess I'll just keep... I might as well just let him gather up and push the boulder. And keep going. We're almost there. And that's it, right? Oh, I need one more wolf, huh? No, I might as well pretend that I care. And that's it. Pew. Dang. Next! Oh, Puyan's a fun game. And, yeah. Again, I'm losing track. Ooh, Popeye. Popeye's a nice little game. Another one that commonly appears on multi-carts. Or at least, majority of them. And, Popeye has a number of different screens. But I'm not going to show them all. I'm just going to stick with the first level where you just collect hearts. Which makes sense, I suppose. Not much more to this. It's kind of meh. Hey, you know what? I'm not gonna complain. You're getting hearts, and you gotta avoid Brutus. And Brutus will throw beer bottles at you. Because that's a bad thing, apparently. Always, the higher you get the hearts, the more points you get. And you get the spinach. And, I'm not going to be able to use this on Brutus, am I? Knocks him into the water, you get 3,000 points. You know, if I were more semi-conscious, I'd probably enjoy this a little more. As it is, it's actually not bad. It's not that bad of a game, actually. You know. I know apparently it was an arcade version, but I never played it, so I can't really compare. But, yeah, nice little hearts. Next game. And, Hyper Sports, which is, the one with the skeet shooting and triple jump and the long jump and all that spaz. I think, you know, again, if you want a full-on review, you know, track and field's my first review. I'm looking to update that, you know, because you know, you learn new stuff afterwards. I found out that the track and field game that we got was actually a combination of 2 games. You know, 2 games that were released separately on the Famicom. Hyper Olympics, which contained 4 events, and Hyper Sports, which contained 4 other events. And when they brought this over to the NES, they basically took the 2 games, put it together, called it track and field, and there you go. And it's an interesting bit of information that I just came across recently. And, yes, I absolutely am not that good at skeet shooting. Not one of my favorite games to play, actually, but whatever. At work, I'll go with it. Excuse me. I'm losing semi-conscious, and at this point I don't even care anymore. It's like I find a couple things I find stupid is if you miss twice, there's a delay. But if you're from a significant string, who cares? Star Force. Star Force is another common one. This is like the graphics on this version. I don't know if you ever played the NES version, the one we got. You note that there's a slight modification to the graphics and the music. Like the music has more instrumentation, for example. The graphics are somewhat little better, less monotonous, especially when you pick up a power-up. You know, your ship changes form, and this version is more in line with the arcade original, which you can also get at on the virtual. Huh. Okay. Okay, I can live with that. That's not a big deal. Mind you, I should have ended the game there, but, you know, for some reason I'm going to keep going, because this game, in all honesty, isn't all that fantastic, actually. It's a pretty, pretty competent shooter, but not much more than that. And I'm just gonna spam the turbo function, because, who cares? Why not? This isn't. I'm just going through the games. Not really reviewing on any of the games in full detail. Just getting it done. But yeah, if this were the NES version, my ship would be a little would get a bit of an ass to it. Like the backside would be a little larger, like an extra additional module. Whereas here it's just a faster fire rate. Which, in all fairness, that's all it really does the other version too, but still, not really saying a whole lot. Alpha target cleared. Yay! And I get an extra life, which means nothing. Yeah, there you go. Extra life, which means nothing because I'm not going to be playing this game for a whole lot longer. Still I'm going to go through and see how far I could get before I lose my extra life. Hopefully not that far, because I don't want to make it part 7. 6 parts is already bad enough to review a bunch of Korean games on a Korean video game system. Even though none of the games are actually Korean and are just pirated versions of... Anyways, I'm losing it. And I'm dead. Next! And we go down to the last game, which is Warpman. Oh, I remember this now. This is one that I haven't played in a long while. You control a little Warpman thing, and you have to kill all the green guys. Occasionally there's enemies that'll carry letters, and you have to spell out something. I don't yet like those guys. I don't remember what happens if you spell out. At a certain point, you get like a cross type weapon that comes across, and that causes your warp to the wormhole in the middle to flash, and then you're in a maze, and then you get to land bombs at times, that's a whole lot of fun. But I'm just gonna clear this stage as is, and we'll end it there. And I think we're almost done. Yeah, if I went in there, it would have been the maze, but we'll end it here. Just as a bonus, here's some footage from Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, the Famicom cartridge that I played on the first part of the video. And as you can probably tell, graphically it looks similar to what you would get on the NES. So it's pretty accurate on that count. The sound output it's alright, it's accurate. But it does come out a bit rough. It's not retro duo rough where it sounds like, most of it's muted, but there is a rough quality to it. The interesting thing is that when I was ripping the video to input into the final product, only the left channel actually produced sound. The right channel was actually silent. So I don't know if that contributes to the overall sound quality. Probably not. It's probably just like, the connection's not all that great, but even with that regard, it's pretty accurate to the sound. It's probably a step up above the Retro Duo, but below FC Twin. It's probably the best way I can describe it. So, in that regard, it sounds alright. No real complaints. So let's just wrap this up and commit suicide by jumping into the water.
And after all that, we finally we went through all the unique games, and then the rest of it is all repeating, as you can tell from the main menu. In any case, it's not really much I could say at this point. Like, the Miracle X, for the most part, it works. It hasn't blown up on me at all, which is rather nice. The Famicom side works. You know, it's pretty much close to a real deal, except it isn't a real deal. It's more or less, I think it might be a clone system, or it might be they took the parts and they actually reconfigured, reverse engineering or something like that. But it works really well. I'm rather happy with it. It's a nice little find, and it does stand out from the rest of the consoles, which are either black or silverish or white or gray. You know, and then you have this bright blue, yellow hunk of plastic, which is seriously, it's a nice little find. I gotta thank my friend Ralph for his little sacrifice in investing some cash in it. And you know what? I'm actually having a fun time with this. It's a nice little find. And yeah, I hope you managed to sit through the entirety, and if you have, I thank you for your patience and for your indulgence and for the time it took for you to actually sit through the whole project. So thanks a lot. I appreciate your time, and till next time. I might do more of these overviews with some of the other stuff that I got laying around here. You know, just for the heck of it. It's actually not that bad. It's a good way to get content out, if anything else. So with that out of the way, I thank you once again. Till next time, take care, and goodbye.